All right, so we are a few minutes early, and that's okay, but it's your boy, Coach Vic, certified land investor. Glad to be here with you. So, you guys saw the title of this damn thing. You guys read the description. If not, let me read it for you. All right. So, there's a one not so secret thing that all land investors, hell, all business people need to have or to do to be successful. Now, this topic can be as complex as the tax code, or it can be as simple as a traffic light. You guys like that? What am I talking about? Well, the subject I'm about to talk about, when it's not handled properly, the people who kind of neglect this or don't do this is justice. They leave lots of money on the table, and in fact, they're probably losing money from a lot of mistakes that are easily avoidable. And those mistakes can make them not just lose business, but kind of go out of business. I got a stiff neck. So, what am I talking about? Well, it's tracking. All right. So, let me give you a story. This is one of my favorite stories. It's kind of bittersweet, but I'll explain why. So, I want you to take yourself back in time. Long ago. So, it's 2021 around. I want you to go back to 2018. I know, such a long time ago. Who remembers what's going on there? Did they even have cell phones back in 2018? I kid. But I wanted to take you back to the NBA Finals between the Golden State Warriors. As you can see, I'm a fan of the Warriors. You can see my bobble heads there, there. Sean Livingston, and I got a bunch more. And the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, it is game one of the finals. It's here in California, Golden State, in Oakland, at Oracle. And even though I'm not a LeBron James fan, but I'm not a hater either. I can say this guy is playing out of his mind. He should be losing, or his team should be losing, but let's be honest, the Cleveland Cavaliers at that time was a pretty good team. So he's doing well. I think he scored about 50 something points, or on his way to 51 points that game. And it's into the game, towards the end of the game, fourth quarter's late. I think Jordan Clarkson's on the foul line, if I'm not mistaken. And I believe he misses both free throws. Now, here's the thing. The game is tied right now. After the miss of the second free throw, J.R. Smith grabs the rebound, the offensive rebound, which means that the Warriors weren't boxing out or they're just too small, whatever it was. And instead of putting the ball right back in, he dribbles the ball out of the area, so out of the key, out of the immediate area of the basket for you non-basketball fans. And he dribbles away from the basket he's trying to score at. LeBron James is kind of mystified, thinking, okay, what is he doing? Is he about to try to shoot a three? Is he trying to find an open player so they can shoot the ball? And then, in fact, all he does is just realize it's too late, tries to throw it to LeBron at the end, and he can just kind of just a desperation heave at the buzzer where that's not no chance of going in. And LeBron, oh man, I wish I had this queued up. That's the problem with going live. You know what? I'm gonna find this photo, and it's been memed many times. But he basically here it is. This is a good one. This is a good one. Let me share my screen for you guys real quick. This is the look on LeBron's face. All right, and now the reason I'm showing you this is because a lot of people, they go through the same thing in their business. All right, you guys see this? Look at this. Look at his face. Look at his face. JR, I don't know. And then you have the memes. You have the memes, right? But it's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And because of, guess what? He didn't know the score. Now, later on, he would try to say, oh, I knew the score. I was trying to do this and I was trying to do that. I was going to let them, he made up an excuse. Why am I bringing this up? Well, this is what a lot of business owners do. They don't track things very well. They basically don't know the score and are trying to make in-game decisions without knowing the score. Now, before I go on, I want to make sure you guys are on the same page with me. Anybody seen the NBA Finals? Put this on the chat. What did you think about that finals? Right? Or if you haven't seen that NBA Finals, tell me, what type of business owners do you see who don't play the game by the score, who don't make the moment-to-moment adjustments by understanding the score? And what the score can be in your business, it can be how much income you're bringing in, how many leads you're bringing in, things of that nature. All right, so let me know, what do you do to keep score? Put that in the comments right now. I would love to hear it. If you're not keeping score, you're probably doing, looking around. Maybe you don't even know, like, what score were you talking about? I mean, I haven't made any money yet. I haven't done any land investing yet. I've been trying, but I haven't really been successful yet. I will argue you don't know the score. So in this talk, what I'm going to do, I want to talk about the different ways that you can actually track and know the score. Why do we want to know the score? Well, it's obvious. If you are in a basketball game and you know you are losing by a large amount of points, but you see there's plenty of time left, you will probably change your game strategy or understand that this is part of one of the things that could happen, and you know that your game strategy will prevail long term. So it's going to dictate what you do. If you know you are winning and there's only a few seconds left in the game, your game strategy is probably not going to let me see how quickly I can shoot the ball. You're probably, if you're smart, going to hold on to the ball. You're going to make sure the time runs out while the ball is in your hands, because you understand that if the other team gets a chance, that desperation three that they shoot may go in. It may end the game for you and you're lost, and there's no more time for you to make it up. So what's one of the things, let's talk about some of the things that we can track right now. All right. First, let's start from the beginning. Many people in the group are still looking to either get their first land, they probably acquire their first property, or they're looking to get better at acquiring property. I'll let you guys know, when you're messing around with me, acquiring property gets very simple. In fact, that can be a problem. It's so easy to get property, most people don't know how to sell it. But let's just assume you're in that camp where you don't have your first property yet, or you're just not as efficient with getting property, at least not for the prices that you want. So what are things that you can do? First, let me list off some things. I'm gonna tell you what you can do about each one. First, how many offers did you put out there? That could be a mailer, that could be a text message campaign, that could be emails, even though emails aren't that effective for me. But there's different ways to get your offers out there to landowners who do not have properties on the market. How many have you gotten out there? How much have you put out within a certain time period? I like to say about, how many offers did I get out per month, usually. I usually do it all at once. I figure out what I want to send out and I just do it all at once. But I also used to do a drip feed where I would do a little bit at a time. So if I got a lot of responses, I wouldn't be overwhelmed with a bunch of people calling me and how to get back to them and things like that. How many of those offers got actual replies? How many of those offers were basically return to sender or wrong number? So return to sender meaning you sent out the mailer, post office couldn't deliver it, or you got a phone number from a skip tracer and it turned out to be the wrong number or something like that. Are you keeping track of how much money you actually have to invest? Maybe early in the month you have a nice sizable war chest of ready to deploy in property. But then as time goes on in that month, you buy a property or two. Now that war chest is shrunk because you've actually invested already. How much do you have left? How much time do you need to actually do things? Do you need any other that money to help facilitate the deals you have in progress, right? How much money do you have for expenses? All right, so to recap, when we're talking about acquisitions, these are the scores you should be keeping. How many offers did you put out there? How many replies did you get from those offers? How many of those replies, or I wouldn't say replies, how many of those offers were returned to sender or just wrong number? Basically, they're no good. So now you got to recoup and figure out what you're going to do with those names. How much money do you currently have to invest? Whether you started off with a big war chest or a shrank because you started to invest in other properties. And how much money do you have left for expenses? Now, in the comments or in the chat or whatever, tell me if you're keeping track of any of these. I would like to hear some of your answers. Namely, how do you like to keep track of those things? Because before I tell you how I do it, let me tell you exactly why these are important. Well, number one, you want to keep track of how many offers you put out there. Why? Well, in general, you need to know a few things. One, what is your acquisition percentage? Meaning, when you put out 100 offers, how many people actually reply and actually want to do a deal with you? How many of those people who want to do a deal will actually go through with the whole thing and you actually purchase that property? If you don't know that, how do you know how many offers you should put out? How do you be more efficient with your money? Now, obviously, every month is going to be different. And if you're jumping around from county to county, it may be hard to understand that. But in general, if you're getting a low number, meaning you're getting like for every 100 offers, you're getting less than one, which is still really low, but just to be conservative, that means you have a few things to look at. You know, the score. The score here is that either your offers are terrible, the way you present your offers are terrible, or how people are supposed to contact you is terrible. It's really that simple. Now, again, a lot of people don't know the score. So they assume that shit, no one respond. I need to put more and more mailers. I've even seen people in this very group. So I put out 9,000 mailers and I'm not getting any responses. These are people who are not playing by the score. They don't know why they're not getting responses. So they think doubling down is going to help. Well, if you're not getting any responses, again, chances are that your offers are terrible, your mailers suck, or your how to get in contact with is just too cumbersome and no one wants to do it. So what are some things that you can do? I want you to put in the comments. I don't have time to go into this now, but what are some things that you can do to help mitigate the damages just from offers sent, right? If you know you're not getting anything, you sent out thousands and thousands, you're not getting any type of replies, what are things you can do? Think about that, right? Your offers are terrible. Obviously, better research to help you figure out, let me get something that's more in line with people are thinking, but still enough for me to make a lot of money on the back end. If it's very difficult for you to actually, or for people to actually get a hold of you after they get your offer, maybe you got to simplify your process a little bit. Maybe you got to make sure it's streamlined so it's easy and it's so slippery to get through that, you know, next thing you know, before they even know it, the prospect is already giving you their deed, notarized deed, and they have your money, and now you have a property, right? If you're not understanding, or if the way you're presenting your offer is terrible or confusing or just not appealing, well, maybe going back and redo your letter, your postcard, or how you send your text messages out is in line. Once you know the score, now you can decide what to do, right? And just understanding how many offers you're sending out versus how many you're getting back, as in like, yeah, I'm interested in doing business with you, is the first step. And I'm not sure a lot of people are doing that. Now, what if you are getting the amount of replies you're getting? Let's say you sent out, for every 100 you send out, you're getting about 3 replies. Let's just say 3%. Now, how many of those 3% are actually turning into actual properties for you? Now, if none of them are, well, you got to know what the score is. Is it because you're a terrible negotiator? Is it because the people that you are contacting and how you're contacting them, they're having a different expectation once they're on the phone with you? For example, if you send out a blind offer, meaning you're saying, hey, I want to buy your property, call me for pricing. And they're thinking that you're going to offer them, you know, retail price. And then they're like, when you're like, no, I'm going to offer you pennies on a dollar. And they're like, you know what, screw you, get on my face. And it happens over and over again. Maybe how you're presenting your offer sucks. Maybe you're giving them the wrong expectation. You see what I'm saying? So knowing the score will help you to adjust. So maybe you don't send the blind offers anymore. Maybe do a little research like, look, I'm looking to pay you from this month about between these two ranges in price. And then see if their people are responding to you, right? Or maybe you take those blind offers, you hear what people are asking for, you see if that's reasonable and like, okay, maybe I can do this, maybe I can't. But now that you're keeping track of how many people are actually taking you up on your offer, you actually know the score. You can actually do something about it. Either understanding, hey, we're doing great, let's be more aggressive with this strategy, let's go for it. Or you know what, we're getting our asses kicked right now. Let's regroup real quick at halftime, figure out the adjustments we need to make, and then come out with a better effort. So far, is any of this making sense? I want to make sure this isn't going over your head. It's not a complicated subject, but all the things that we can track can easily get overwhelming if you allow it to overwhelm you. But in general, you're just keeping track of what you're doing. And maybe, you know, at the end of this, I can probably give you some pointers. All right. Obviously, when it comes to money, keeping track of how much you have left is important. But one thing you got to think about is, where are you in the month, in the calendar month? If you have a little bit of money left and there's only a few more days in the month, maybe that's okay, right? Maybe you did a great job throughout the month getting properties and you still had a little bit left over, and you can roll that into next month budget, right? Assuming you have more money coming in either from your 9-to-5 job or from properties you're selling. But let's say it's early on and you don't have that much money. That could be good too, but maybe that means, now that you know the score, less offers because more people are taking you up on your offer. That means you don't need to send as many, which means you can save some cash on your offers, on your mailers, or on your text messaging. Is that making sense? Right? So if a lot of people are taking you up on your offer and it's early in the month or early in your offer cycle, meaning you just sent out offers and you already got a bunch of people looking to sell to you for the price you want, and now the war chest you have for investment is kind of shrunk to small amount. Now, you know what? I sent out too many mailers this month. I did, this mailer hit really good. I think next month I'll probably cut back a little bit, save a little bit on expenses, and I can use more of that to actually purchase more property and invest more property. That makes sense? Also, understanding the amount of money you need can help as well, because if you're out there and you're buying property and you don't know how much you have left, now you may commit to purchasing a property, but you don't have enough money to see the whole deal go to the finish line. Meaning you don't have enough money to send it to the person, or excuse me, pay the person, pay to send the deed and the check over there, or however you want to pay them, get everything back, do the recording fees. Maybe you got to pay other fees, HOA or transfer fee or transfer tax or whatever it is. If you're not keeping track of all that, you're going to find yourself with your pants down. You got a deal going, everything is good, but because you weren't actually, you didn't know the score, you agreed to something that you couldn't finish. So far, so good. Is this making sense to you guys? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat. Or are you a J.R. Smith out there? Are you J.R. Smith in it, not knowing the score and pretending you know the score so you sound like a big shot? All right. So no, that's good. That's good. So this is what we're going to do now. We're going to go from the acquisition side. Let's go to the sales side, because there's a different set of criteria that you need to keep track of if you're going to know the score so you can actually sell quicker, sell for top dollar. All right. So some of the things you need to keep track of when you're selling your property: the number of leads, and not just the number of leads, the ones you're getting by phone, text, and email, right? Depending on where you market your property would dictate how people will contact you. All right. Think about where people are in your funnel, meaning where are they in their interest level and how close are they to buying, right? You have people who are just kind of inquiring, like, hey, I heard you got some property. Can you tell me more about it? They're not very far on that journey to buy, right? They're just starting, at least starting with you. You don't know what they're doing previously, but with you, they're just trying to feel out if the property is right to even look into, let alone visit or make an offer on. You want to know and keep track of how long the property's been on the market. You want to keep track of what is the current price of your property. Keep track of what is the current overall price for the general market in that particular area, more or less the price per acre. Are you in line with that, or are you undercutting them so you can get more interest in your property? Think about, or another thing to keep track of how many ads do you have out there? If possible, depending on the platform, how many people are actually putting eyeballs on those ads versus how many people are actually contacting you to at least inquire about it. You guys see that? So to recap, you need to know how many leads you're getting and specify where you're getting them. Where those leads are in your, the ones that have contacted you, where are they in your buyer's funnel? Or meaning, how close are they to actually making a buying decision with you? Are they in the early stages, just trying to fill you out and the property out? Or are they like, hey, I checked it out, I think I'm ready to make an offer, or you know what, it's not for me. Again, how long has your property been on the market? The current price of your property, the current price of the market. So you make sure that you're in line with that or you're undercutting it, etc. Now, if what I'm saying with this stuff make any sense, let me know. Put it on the chat. I like to hear your conversations. I know I get the conversation stuff late, but you know how I do. If I see it, I can answer when I can. You know what I mean? And that's right, Dale. I do love the ball. I've been playing basketball since I was 7. I played a little semi-pro hoops. So you know how I do. Yes, that's right, Anthony. KPIs. That's exactly what we're talking about here. Cool. So anyways, getting back to it. When we're looking at our leads, right, you want to keep track of, again, where they're coming from and, what type of communication. Now, why do I do this? Personally, it lets me know how I should allocate my time. If I'm getting a lot more people calling me, that usually tells me that the ads are doing pretty well. People are pretty excited about it, and they're more serious about buying. Those who send a text, they can be potentially serious, but it's hard to say. A text is very easy to send, and it's not like there's a lot of urgency with the text like there is with the phone call. And then there's email. Email is usually the lowest hanging fruit, but it's still a contact and it's still valuable. If you put your property up on Zillow, there's a good chance you'll get an email or a text. Yeah, people still do call from Zillow, but those are easier to do right from the Zillow website. So that's why the lower hanging fruit is easier to for them to do. So you keep track of that. And you're like, okay, am I getting a lot of serious leads, or am I getting a lot of, I wouldn't call them tire kickers, they're just less serious right now. Knowing the score will help you understand, hey, how are my ads doing? I ain't getting nobody fucking with me on my ads. My ads must be performing terrible. So I know I need to update my ads. Most people will think, oh no, I'm not getting a lot of interest. My ads must, my property must suck. You guys see what the disconnect is? Sometimes your ads aren't doing well because you're not selling the land properly, or you're not giving the information that people want to know, and you're not enticing them to give you a call. And that's what's happening. If you know the score, you know how to make the little adjustments. Now, again, usually when people are looking to buy and they're at a platform where they're actually actively searching for property, they only need to know a couple of things early on. How much? Where is it? Is it a good deal? And sometimes, can I do what I want with the land? Right? Is there restrictions or no restrictions and things of that nature? When they know that and the pictures look good, then they're going to contact you. And depending on how serious they are, will dictate how they contact you: phone, text, email, whatever. Now, when you don't know the score, people assume that their prices suck, or their land sucks, and they start cutting the price, which isn't a bad strategy. It's not. I'll cut the price all the time. Sometimes I try to get as much as I can. I'm like, you know what? I'd rather get some money, sell it quickly, make my ROI and then some, and then move on to the next property. So I'll cut the price a little bit. But if I don't know the score, then it's hard for me to understand, hey, is it a pricing or is it an ads thing? Now, how do I know the score when it comes to the leads? Well, like places like Zillow, LandWatch, or your own website, you can see how many people are actually coming in and take a look at your ad. And if you're keeping track of all the people that actually contact you about that particular piece of property, you can get a nice little ratio of how many people are actually interested in what you have to sell. If your ratio is low, meaning you get a ton of people not looking at your ad, but they're not talking to you, well, something about the ad itself is turning them off. If you're getting a lot of people looking at it, you get a lot of people, contact you, but no one's actually taking that next step. Well, maybe it's the actual price or it's the actual property. This depends, right? Or it could be just how you're giving them the information. But understanding that will give you a better chance of making the right decision on how to play the game to win. So far, this making sense. You guys getting this? Again, I see a lot of people leaving this money on the table because they just make assumptions. They let their emotions get the best of them, and they start to panic. And when they panic, they make rash decisions that rarely work out in their favor. All right. Now, understanding where people are in your buyer funnel is very important, because what is that going to do? It's going to help you understand how to follow up with them. If somebody's just basically like, hey, is it still available? You're not going to be like, hey, did you check out the property yet? You're going to be like, hey, yes, it's available. Check out this website. And then after you give them some time, a day or so, like, hey, what'd you think of the website? What'd you think of, or not even the website, what'd you think of what you learned on the website? What was your favorite part about the property that you learned about, et cetera? And then you can make that conversation. If they don't reply or they don't respond to you, what you think of the website information and all that, they weren't that serious in the first place, right? Because even if they don't want your property, like, yeah, I saw the property, looking at your website, I can see that it has restrictions that it wouldn't work for me. Okay, great. Maybe this other property I have will work for you. Or I'll just keep your information on file, so when I get something that matches what you want, I can let you know. But those who don't reply, terrible leads. Now, you're getting a bunch of those terrible leads. If you know the score, you know that you're attracting the wrong people. Meaning, let's say you have a high dollar property, but people who can't afford it are the ones that keep hitting you up. But what is that saying? Well, your ads are probably saying, attracting those people. Like, hey, people who can't afford this property, why don't you come look at this? No, that's not what you do. You got to speak the language of the people who can afford or who actually want your property. Understanding who your buyer is going to help you say the right thing, but you're not going to know that until you know the score. All right. Understanding how long your property been on the market. When you first put your property on the market, sometimes you get a nice boost of views because Zillow and the like, they'll like promote your, hey, new listing, check it out. And then it might taper off. That's okay. That's, it's fine. Don't let that get you down. But understand, look, if your property's on the market for, 3 months and you're not getting much interest, you're probably trying to sell it for way too much money. Or you and or Zillow or LandWatch or whatever the platform aren't doing a good job getting enough eyeballs on it. Now you'll know that if you look at the back office of Zillow or LandWatch, and they can tell you how many leads are coming in and how many people are seeing it. If you're realizing a lot of people aren't seeing it, either you're in an area that isn't as desirable, or again, you and Zillow aren't doing a good job of actually putting it out there. Zillow can only handle what Zillow can do, right? But you can actually point more eyeballs to your ads with other forms of communication, talking to previous buyers and previous contacts and leads. Hell, if you want, do some paid advertising on Facebook or Google or whatever. So there are things that you can do to get more ads and more eyeballs in your ads. But you can't just sit there like, oh, I got a low amount of people watching or looking at my stuff, and then just assume, oh, my property sucks. Maybe it's not the property. Maybe it's the area. Maybe it's the price. Maybe it's just not enough people seeing it. Knowing the score will definitely help you understand what you need to do to make the next and the correct adjustment. Is that making sense? You guys are getting this, right? How many ads are out there? Same thing. Are you getting enough eyeballs on your stuff or not? You got to know these things. If you don't keep track of these things, this is, again, people let their emotions get the best of them. They make wild and baseless assumptions that their property sucks, that they overpaid for, that, oh my God, I made a bad investment. And in reality, they're just not doing a very good job marketing. The score will tell them that, but they're not looking at the score to see what moves to make, to see what conclusions they can come up with. All right. Now, got a few more minutes left. One last thing I want to talk about, your personal expenses, especially if you want to do this full time like I do. You got to know the score. How much are you paying for your mortgage or your rent? How much you pay for food, your utilities, your entertainment like Netflix, or going out to dinner and bars and things like that, movies, stuff like that. How much do you have, do you set aside for play money? That should be going for entertainment and things of that nature. How much do you set aside to pay down debts? How much do you set aside for future investments? You don't know the score, AKA money management, you're going to be broke for the rest of your goddamn life, because you may make a lot, but you'll spend a lot and you want to be aware of it, right? That's like you on a basketball court. You're doing well. You're making every shot you shoot. You probably scored 30 points, but you're still down. Ow, my neck. You're still down by 10. Why? Well, because you're not understanding that your defense sucks. You're not understanding that they have a game plan to allow you to score as long as some other people aren't scoring. And you got to understand that because their strategy, you might have to change your strategy. So depending on what you're doing with your with your finances, that should dictate how you're going to play this land game. If you can set aside and do it consistently, not just for 1 month, but consistently set aside a good amount of money to invest, you're going to do better than those who can only basically have the discipline to invest for a month, basically set aside money for a month, but in reality would rather just Netflix and chill and pay for things that are, that are great, that are fun, that are nice, but it's not going to help them get towards their financial goals. So with that said, I just kind of scratched the surface. I didn't even talk more about how you can track all these things. Some things are kind of built in, like if you're looking at sales and stuff, Zillow and LandWatch and things like that, they'll give you some ideas. If you're doing paid ads like I am, you can get some ideas of how many people are seeing your stuff or how many are clicking on the links and things like that. But what about the other things like your mailers? What about the other things like your response rates? Well, if you don't want to be fancy and complicated, spreadsheet it. Hey, so you know what? I sent out 500 mailers this month. And then by the end of the month, I got back this many. Or it may not be based on monthly. I sent out 500 mailers on September 1st. And then as replies come in, be it return to sender, be it like, yes, I'm interested, be it like you talking and nothing's happening, you record that in that same spreadsheet. Like, okay, this is how many I sent, this is how many people said yes, this is how many said no, this is how many return to sender. And, the rest of those are no response. You start to understand that, right? And then those who said yes, you can see how many said yes and, how things went. The more you track, the more you can understand. Like, okay, well, the people who said yes, they didn't like my offers too much, but they were desperate to sell, so I was able to make something happen. Maybe I got to change my offers up. Maybe that's why those other large percentage of people didn't respond. Okay, the next mailer, I'll tweak it a little bit to see what happens. Yeah, see how that works? I'm playing the game by knowing the score, not doing blind emotion, not doing rash things because I'm afraid that something quote unquote went wrong. All right. So with that said, I think I'm out. My neck hurts. I keep trying to jerk as I get excited and talking about this shit. So it's your boy, Coach Vic. Listen, if you have any questions, hit me up. If you want to know more, because I'm actually in the middle of doing this. So obviously, as I do it, I teach my Land Investing All-Stars group how to do this as well, or at least give them ideas, because they may not do things the same way I do it, but having understand what are the important KPIs, basically the things to track are, then they can do it in their own way and they can make their own decisions, or decisions with my help and the group's help. So if you're looking more and you want to learn more about that, hit me up, send me a PM or whatever. I can talk to you about it. Otherwise, I hope you guys are doing well. Hey, let's go out there and make some money. I love you. A lot of y'all are playing scared. I'll let you know, scared money don't make money. Stop being scared. Make a goddamn list. Start contacting some people. All right. I mean, stop saying I'm gonna do it tomorrow, or you don't need more information. I have a crash course I put out there. You need to know about the crash course, how to put a list together and start contacting people. Hit me up. We can have a conversation, and maybe you actually need that and I'll send it to you. Maybe you need something else. But the point is, you're out there and you're playing scared, talking about you need more information. You don't need information. You just fucking do it. Stop being a punk. All right, that's it. Didn't mean to get up on my high horse. Coach Vic signing off. I will see you guys later. Peace.